Hi, Nancy. How are you today?
I'm great, Brittany. How are you?
I'm doing really well. Thank you for joining me on this call this afternoon.
Of course.
So just to start, can you chat a little bit about your role at Sage?
Absolutely. So I'm the Vice President of Partner Strategy and Sales. And what this means is that I have a team of about 90 colleagues who are collectively responsible for partner recruitment, partner enablement, partner management, partner sales, partner strategy, partner programs, partner communications, just everything related to partners. And that impacts some 300 partners across North America.
Wow, that's an enormous partner system. I know that that's something that Sage is very proud of. Can you chat a little bit about how you got involved in the world of technology?
For sure. So it was an interesting and winding road. So I actually studied accounting and finance in college with an aim of pursuing a CPA designation and a career in finance. Well, it only took me like a few years in the workforce, a couple of kids, to realize that the future I had planned was not the future I wanted. And so then began the journey of trying to reinvent my path forward to something I could be more passionate about, because I just wasn't feeling passion for finance and accounting, unfortunately. So I found myself working through a variety of roles that started sort of in the customer success area. I got into marketing. I really loved that. And then finally took on a sales role. Now, the interesting part and ironic is that my sales role was selling ERP software. So my background in accounting and finance really helped lend credibility when I showed up to sell to a controller or a CFO and I could speak their language, because I was selling them a new finance management system and I knew something about those systems because I had been in roles similar to theirs. So I like to tell that story to remind myself that everything happens for a reason, and that my time studying and working in finance and accounting was not a waste. It paved the way for my success in selling ERP solutions.
That's fantastic insight. And now looking back, what do you think the best part of your job is today?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And I think the best part of my job really is the opportunity to grow and develop amazing teams. And I often talk about my goal as a leader is to build what I refer to as destination teams. And what I mean by that is that others in the org are clamoring to become part of this team, this destination team. So these are the teams where, and some of us have had the good fortune of being part of teams like this in our careers, where it really feels like you've captured lightning in a bottle, where, you know, that magic happens when you've got a group of people who are empowered and motivated to do their best work. The other amazing part of my job is that I get to positively impact the lives and business successes of our partners. Now, that's a really fantastic feeling, knowing that you've, in some small part, enabled the success of someone else's business. That's super cool, and that totally fills up my tank, so to speak.
That's wonderful. And you touched a little bit on leadership. So can you dive in a little bit more and share some of the key traits that either you possess or that you think others should possess to really be a good leader?
Absolutely. So I'm so passionate on this topic because I think a lot of times the terms management and leadership are used interchangeably, and I think that's a complete misnomer. I think you can manage people and be a horrible leader. Right? So definitely don't confuse leadership with management. Just because you've got people that report to you doesn't make you a leader. I think leadership is something that you have to be very intentional about. And I also think that leadership can manifest whether you are actually managing people, whether you've got direct reports or not. You can show up with leadership traits. The feedback that I've received around what people appreciate about my leadership, I think could be summed up in two categories. So the first is authenticity. And I'm always going to show up in a way that's 100% me. What you see is what you get, for good or for bad with me. I try to be as open and communicative as I can be. Sometimes, as leaders, we can't reveal everything, but regardless, I try to show up in a way that is always in my own voice, if you know what I mean. And I think people really respond very well to leaders who show up as their authentic selves. The second area that I think is super important, and if I could wish one trait on every leader who is aspiring to be a better leader, is the willingness to be vulnerable in front of others. I think this trait, above all else, just helps a leader to be so much more effective. If I can recommend, there's a TED Talk by Brene Brown, who I absolutely adore, called The Power of Vulnerability. And I would suggest every single leader, anybody in business and in personal, I think could benefit from watching this video. I think it might be 15 minutes long. I've probably watched it 7 or 8 times in the last 6 or 7 years, and I seem to get something new from it every time. There's something very powerful about a willingness to be vulnerable in front of others.
Definitely, and there's such a symbiotic relationship between authenticity and vulnerability, I think, especially
Absolutely.
in good leaders. So what do you feel like has shaped that, and what has shaped your leadership style?
Yeah, so I think for my leadership style tends to be one where I am constantly trying to strike a balance of pushing my team to do their best work, to take on new challenges, to stretch, to grow so that they can soar higher, while also ensuring that they feel supported and safe enough to try new things and to make mistakes. So I think I'm known as a tough but fair boss and someone who has my team's backs, but also drives the team really hard. And I don't apologize for that. So for me, mediocrity is the one thing I'm not okay with. Don't phone it in. If you're going to be here, be all in. Yeah. I want to reach my fullest potential, and I want those on my team to reach theirs. And for me, this probably comes from my upbringing as the child of immigrants who demonstrated just an amazing work ethic and instilled that in me. I think I had my first job when I was 13. I took 2 buses and the subways. The story of growing up in a big city, right? We took subways and buses. I was 13 and went to work at my uncle's restaurant for tips, just for tips, no wage, just tips. And you know what? And that's just ingrained in me, that work ethic, right? Trying to be better, to do better. And it made me want to strive for more, and it made me want to make a difference. And I try to bring that out in others as well.
That's fantastic. That's an incredible story. Thank you for sharing that. And I have to imagine if you've just had such a passion for pursuing excellence, especially in the workplace, that has to carry over into your personal life as well. Can you share some of maybe the hobbies that you have that you are really excited about?
For sure. So a diverse set of hobbies. I'll say that if, the question, if you weren't doing what you're doing, what would you be doing? I have a real passion for interior design. We bought 6 years ago a mid-century home, and I'm having a great time remodeling. Maybe my husband's not having such a great time, but I'm having a great time remodeling it, kind of bringing it to its former glory. But outside of that, what I'm really passionate about is hiking. So show me some mountains, and I'm strapping on my hiking boots, filling up my Camelback, and hitting the trails. So this activity, I think, above anything else, bar none, for me, is so beneficial to me, but mind, body, and soul. Like, I often joke that it's my gym, it's my therapist, it's my church. Like it's everything, right? I get everything that I need when I'm climbing and when I'm in the mountains. I get into a zone that is sort of almost meditative, and I've found that while I don't intentionally think, oh, I'm going to do this, really tough hike and I'm going to solve, X. Mm-hmm. That's not the intention. And yet when I get through the hike, when I'm done, I find that I have thought through something that's bothering me, something that's a big problem, whether it be business or personal, and have come to some really, really great outcomes, working through that during some challenging hikes. And then, of course, when you hit the summit, like, wow, isn't that like the best feeling ever, right? A huge sense of accomplishment, and rewarded usually by amazing views, and a reminder that I can do hard things.
I love that. That's such a perfect reminder. Do hard things, and you can do hard things.
Right, exactly.
Thank you so much for sharing this insight, Nancy. It's been an absolute delight to chat with you today.
Likewise.
Have a wonderful rest of your afternoon. Bye-bye.
All right.